The following video was captured inside what appears to be a covered patio or back room of a family home, where a small girl named Josephina was playing with a kitten and a plastic basket, the kind of ordinary afternoon moment you'd expect to be completely uneventful. The off-camera adult is clearly relaxed, laughing, pointing out where the kitten has wandered. Nothing about the scene feels staged or tense. Then, something shifts. Watch.
Acá está, mira, acá está. Ven. Ven para acá, José.
Without warning, the plastic basket suddenly moves. Not a slight wobble, not the kind of shift you'd expect from an uneven floor or a curious kitten brushing against it. The basket slides with enough force that it looks as though someone deliberately shoved it from the side. What immediately caught viewers' attention is the timing. Josephina isn't touching it. The kitten isn't near it. And there doesn't appear to be anyone else in the immediate area who could have caused the movement. Some viewers suggested there could be a perfectly ordinary explanation that simply isn't visible from the camera angle. Others weren't so sure. The following video was recorded inside what appears to be a commercial building at night. Dim red light washing over a long, dark hallway, the kind of place you wouldn't want to be alone in under any circumstances. The man filming has red hair, a backward black cap, and tattoos on his arm, and from the moment the video starts, he's already terrified, crouched on the floor behind a wooden support beam, camera placed flat on the polished surface. One hand repeatedly coming up to cover his mouth as he stares down the length of the hallway ahead of him. Whatever he's watching, he's been too afraid to move. Then a sound erupts from the far end of the hallway, something high-pitched, distorted, and wrong in a way that's difficult to describe, and that's when everything changes. Watch. Some viewers think he encountered a doppelganger, an entity believed in many traditions to take on the appearance of a living person, often interpreted as a dark omen or something far more threatening. What do you think was on the other side of that door? Now, in this next clip, a woman had been reviewing footage from a security camera she'd set up in her living room, and what she found on it, recorded at 11:35 p.m. on a Sunday night, stopped her cold. The camera is positioned looking toward the kitchen area, separated by a counter with a couple of bar stools in front of it, the kind of ordinary domestic setup you'd never think twice about. But as the lighting on the night vision feed starts to dim and fluctuate, something appears behind that counter. Watch.
You will see as the light dims and then brightens, and then it will dim again, and then it will brighten again. And if you look past, like towards the kitchen area, right about, let's see, one more time maybe. Right now, you'll see her. You can see her coming through. She comes, turns around, walks past towards the kitchen area again. And then you'll see an orb dip out at the end. Also, if your brightness is not turned up, make sure to turn that up or else you can miss her.
A tall, slender, semi-transparent humanoid figure materializes on the right side of the kitchen and moves slowly from right to left before disappearing behind a wall. And if you focus on how it carries itself, it doesn't move the way a person would. The woman narrating the footage refers to it as her, as if whatever this is has already been identified, already been given a presence in that home. Some viewers think it's a residual apparition, an energy that hasn't quite left, while skeptics argue it's consistent with a transparent video overlay edited over the feed. Then, just seconds later, a small dark object darts low across the floor and vanishes, something she calls an orb. Whether that's a spirit or simply a moth crossing in front of an infrared lens, I'll let you be the judge. Before we head back in, one quick thing. All of our videos are now on Spotify, so if that's where you tend to be late at night, every compilation we've made is sitting there waiting for you. Watch it however you'd rather watch it. The link's in the bio. Now, back to the video. Now, in this next video, a man wakes up in the middle of the night to something he describes as knocking, footsteps, and, most unsettling of all, something calling his name from somewhere inside his house. He's in bed, completely in the dark, and his reaction is immediate, panicked, and raw. He sweeps the camera around the room, voice dropping into a desperate whisper, reciting prayers between bursts of fear. Whatever he heard isn't captured on the recording. But what you do get is a man who is genuinely terrified, and that alone is hard to dismiss. He eventually makes his way to the porch to collect himself, and then decides to check the bathroom. Watch.
Guys, I just started hearing some knocking, footsteps, and calling my name. And it was all over the house. I just woke up in the middle of... Get out! Hey. Something just shit. Holy oh shit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Oh shit. Holy shit. Oh. Guys, I need help. I need help, guys. It's all over the house. What's going on? Hey, something is here in my house. Ow! 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 Guys, I was just attacked by something in my house. It is literally 12:14 at night, and I just got attacked in the middle of sleeping. And not only that, guys, I had to sit on the porch after being slapped in my back, so something in my left shoulder hit me and along my whole back, and it was really attacking me. And as I'm sitting on the thing, at the moment I didn't feel none, but as I'm sitting on the porch, I felt my back on fire. So I got curious and I decided to come here to the restroom, and this is what I capture. Look at my back, guys. I just got all beat up. Now I don't know. I don't know what could have done that, but it's got... Oh shit! Oh shit! In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Oh holy
He turns the camera toward the mirror to show his back, and the marks are right there. Several fresh, deep red scratches running across his shoulder blade, clearly visible, with no obvious explanation for how they got there. His voice breaks. He's back to praying before the video even ends. Some viewers think this is consistent with what demonologists often call attack scratches, physical marks left by a hostile entity, frequently appearing in threes, which some traditions link to a direct mockery of the Holy Trinity. Others think the injuries could have come from tossing in his sleep or self-inflicted in a panicked, half-conscious state, but that doesn't fully account for the sounds he described hearing or why they seem to be coming from every part of the house at once. So what exactly happened to him that night? This next video was recorded by a man at home with his two daughters. At dusk, with the interior lit by colored LED lighting and whatever natural light was still bleeding through the windows, his wife wasn't home. He tells his teenage daughter where he's going, passes through a security gate door into an adjacent room, and almost immediately sends both girls back. He's seen something. Watch. Quit.
Ahorita vengo. Mami. Vete para allá, mami. Hija, agarra a la niña. Agarra a la niña. Por favor. Voy a ver algo. Ahí espérenme afuera. Mi esposa no está y vean lo que se acaba de ver. Casi no me da tiempo de grabarlo, pero está bastante cañón.
The moment he notices something peering around the doorway, his entire demeanor changes. What appears in the footage is brief, but that's exactly what makes it unsettling. A face, just visible around the edge of the doorway, watching, then gone. Some paranormal enthusiasts compared the sighting to what are often called peeking entities, figures that appear partially concealed behind corners, doorways, stairwells, or furniture. Reports involving these apparitions frequently describe them as observers rather than active participants, revealing only enough of themselves to be noticed before withdrawing from view. What would you do if you saw something like this in your house? In this next clip, a woman with no prior history of paranormal activity set up her phone one night after hearing unexplained noises coming from deeper inside her home, and what she captured has a lot of people genuinely unsettled. She's filming herself in what appears to be her living room, her voice slightly strained, telling the camera she's not crazy, that something's been making sounds she can't account for. Her dog is already on edge. She props the phone up facing the hallway, a long gray-walled corridor leading to a closed door at the far end, and goes to wash dishes, figuring she'll let the camera run and catch whatever it is. Watch.
Okay, I'm so crazy, right? Here you go. Baby is terrified. Hold on. I know. You're okay. You're okay. I know. God, I'm like shaking.
What you hear first is a single loud bang from somewhere down that hallway, followed almost immediately by a prolonged series of scraping, creaking, and rattling sounds, like something is being dragged or shifted around in a room no one's in. Then the dog comes out of the dark end of the hallway on its own, ears back, moving cautiously, stopping to look behind it before it bolts. The woman herself admits she's shaking by the end of it. Animals reacting to unseen disturbances is one of the most consistent details across reported hauntings. Many believe dogs can perceive frequencies or presences that fall completely outside human range, which is why a frightened animal is often treated as more credible evidence than anything the camera alone picks up. Skeptics would argue the sounds could be structural, pipes, settling walls, something shifting in an adjoining room. But that explanation gets harder to hold on to when you watch how the dog behaves coming out of that hallway. It wasn't curious, it was scared. So what do you think it heard? Take a look at this next case. A man who was midway through what appeared to be an ordinary livestream when something outside his window made everyone in the room stop cold. The clip was recorded at night, the room bathed in a deep red ambient light. a setup that already feels unsettling before anything unusual happens. He's seated at his desk in front of a monitor and a professional microphone, and from what you can hear, his partner and their young daughter are somewhere off camera nearby, a completely normal domestic evening. What he doesn't know yet is that his own livestream audience is about to see something in his background that he can't see from where he's sitting. Watch.
Digo, afortunadamente ahorita ya está. Ay, no te pases.
¿Qué? ¿Viste? Yo lo vi. Yo lo vi en el momento.
Ah, su madre. Y enfocaron hacia la ventana.
Gordo. Se está moviendo.
¿Quién? No te pases. Mira. Espera. Ve, amor, ve. Amor.
Ah, chinga.
Ay, no mames. No mames, hija. Ve al fondo en TikTok. Ve lo que se ve en TikTok. Ay, güey.
Ah, cabrón.
¡No seas mamador!
Uy,
¡No mames!
tranquilo. Ven, nada, ven. Está jugando, papá, está jugando.
Through the sheer white curtain covering the window, a pale, mask-like face appears. A visible mouth, unmistakably humanoid, and positioned as though it's looking directly into the room. His partner sees it the same moment he does, and you can hear the panic in her voice as she tells him it's moving. The face doesn't just linger, it shifts position, tilts, and at one point appears to open its mouth, which is the moment that sends both of them over the edge. His livestream audience was already reacting before he fully understood what they were watching, and when he finally leaps out of his chair and turns toward the window, the face is gone. Some viewers think it's a mask or a prop staged for the stream, pointing to the theatrical red lighting as suspicious. Others aren't so sure. The partner's voice is too raw, the child too calm in the background for something rehearsed. What exactly was pressed against that glass, and where did it go the moment he finally turned around? In this next clip, a man sets up what he calls a mirror experiment, something suggested to him by a follower, using an octagonal gold frame mirror, a small clear glass cup, and a black marker. During the setup, he admits he's not feeling too good, which, given what he's about to ask, seems like a reasonable reaction. He writes yes on one side of the mirror, no on the other, then adds his question right in the center. Do you want to kill me? He places the glass cup between the two answers, makes a peace sign to the camera, and leaves the room. Watch.
Hello everyone, this is Jorge Cruz from Magical Poltergeist. So the reason I want to make this video today, I'm not feeling too good guys, so don't mind that. The reason I want to make this video today, obviously you guys can all see what I have here in front of me, which is a mirror. Oh god. But anyways, I was told by someone that private messaged me and said, hey Jorge, why don't you try one thing out? I want you to grab a mirror and a glass cup and do certain things. So obviously you guys all see I have a mirror, and as you guys all seen, I have also a glass cup, right? Now, I don't know if it was supposed to be any specific glass cup or whatever, but they said that the bottom's got to be like a magnifying glass, so when you look through it, you should be able to see everything, either big or small, or vice versa, small or big, right? Which obviously I can see right through it, so we're gonna use that bottom as a magnifying glass, right? And then he said, grab yourself a black Sharpie and write yes, no, and then write a message, and then leave the room for the rest of the day, and and you should see what's going to happen afterwards. So that is exactly why I'm here today for. All right. So obviously I'm right here. Yes. Right. On that side. And I have no on that side. And obviously I was told to write a little message, but something that's super valuable, but you know, so they can read and they just want to see what happens after I do this, after I leave. So we just gonna give it a try. So my message is going to be, do you want to kill me? Question mark. So I said, do you want to kill me? Obviously yes or no. All right. And then the glass, I will just set it right over here. I will definitely leave and we'll see what happens afterwards. Fair enough? All right, y'all. So let's let it play and deuces. Bye-bye for now.
For nearly 30 seconds, nothing moves. The room is completely still, completely silent. Then the glass begins to slide on its own, slow and deliberate. No jolt, no vibration, crossing the mirror at a steady pace and coming to rest directly over the word yes. Skeptics point to hidden string or a magnet beneath the table, and the smooth, uninterrupted motion does raise that possibility. But if you watch the mirror's reflection during the slide, nothing in the frame gives it away. So what exactly answered him? In the following video, a man starts walking around his house carefully from room to room, checking doors, pausing at corners, clearly on edge after hearing what sounded like someone moving inside his home when he knew he was supposed to be alone. Watch.
Good.
For a brief second, a dark figure peeks into view, not fully stepping out, not revealing itself completely, just enough to be seen, just enough to confirm that something is there. And then, seconds later, a loud, deafening scream. Viewers who watched the clip were quick to point out that when whatever you're dealing with moves from subtle signs to something this aggressive, something that not only shows itself but also vocalizes like that, it's no longer something to ignore, and it's definitely something that requires protection, not curiosity. What makes this even more unsettling is that, according to him, he had already tried saging the house, a method often used in an attempt to cleanse a space or remove negative energy, and it didn't work, which, for many people who believe in these practices, suggests that whatever is there isn't easily affected or removed. And that raises a bigger concern, because if it's not responding to attempts to get rid of it, and it's bold enough to show itself and scream like that, then it might not be trying to leave at all. So what do you think was really waiting down there? In this next clip, a woman is simply taking her dog, Luna, for a walk through a cemetery one afternoon, the kind of quiet, routine outing that shouldn't feel threatening in any way, especially in broad daylight when everything appears still and undisturbed. At first, Luna moves normally along the path, sniffing around, calm, behaving exactly the way you'd expect. But then, something changes. Watch.
What is it, Luna? Luna, come here, babes, come here. What's wrong? What's wrong? Luna? What's wrong?
Luna begins whining, not playfully, not out of excitement, but in a way that sounds distressed, almost fearful, her body tensing as she starts pulling erratically on the leash, trying to move away from a specific spot as if something there is making her deeply uncomfortable. Many believe that in places tied to death, animals can sometimes sense what shouldn't be active anymore. Not just presence, but unrest, even suffering. There are darker interpretations that suggest dogs can react to what some describe as echoes of punishment, lingering energy tied to people who never truly found peace, as if something beneath the ground isn't silent at all. The idea that a dog could be hearing something like distant screaming, something buried, something trapped, is exactly the kind of thought that makes moments like this hard to shake. Now in this next clip, a young boy named Christian has been having experiences that, at first, seemed harmless, even innocent, but over time started to raise serious concern for the people around him. According to his family, he would often be seen laughing to himself, staring into empty spaces, reaching out like he was interacting with someone who wasn't physically there, and even moving from room to room as if he was following or being led by something unseen. There were moments where he would pause mid-play, look toward a corner, and react like someone had just said or done something to him. At first, it was brushed off as imagination, but then they recorded this. Watch.
What the hell do he see? What do he see? Watch this, y'all. What the hell is he running from? Oh my God, look! The hell is he running from?
I'm here because I love her. And yes, maybe in your mind, she messed up.
Come here. What the hell is going on in my house? I'm getting ready to get a Christian. What is going on? Who is here?
In the video, Christian is clearly engaged with something, laughing, responding, going back and forth like he's playing a game with someone right in front of him, someone only he can see. When the video was shared, a medium came across it and gave a very specific interpretation, saying there was a grandmother figure present, someone older, playful, making funny faces and gestures to entertain him, which is why he kept laughing and returning to the same spot. But what made this even more unsettling was the response from the family, because according to them, the boy's aunt had recently passed, and that would make her his great-grandmother. For many, that detail felt too specific to ignore, especially coming from someone the family had never met. But not everyone saw it that way. In fact, a large number of people in the comments had a completely different and far more disturbing interpretation. They warned that what he was interacting with might not be a family member at all, but something deceptive and potentially dangerous. Some even went as far as calling it a demonic presence, pointing out that in many belief systems, once a person dies, they do not return to interact with the living in this way, meaning anything that appears to be them could be something pretending, something unclean, something with a different intention entirely. So now the situation shifts from curiosity to concern, and now she has just one question. How does she get rid of it? I'll leave this one to you. In this next video, a guy named Jorge gets a call from the artist who tattooed him, and it's not for a casual check-in or to talk about new work, it's because something is going seriously wrong inside his shop. And according to him, it all started right after he did one particular tattoo for Jorge. Watch.
A while ago, Garrett had tattooed me. Obviously, you guys already know. One of them was this right here. Some of you might not know, but it's actually a Lucifer sigil symbol. He said that ever since that, you know, that tattooed activities has been happening in his shops. He did mention that his drill went off for no reason, like his drill that he used to drill stuff, and there's been stuff falling on his other shop. There has been activity, so I told him I will try to do whatever I can. Somehow I'm gonna have to fix this. So I'm actually on my way to his house right now. I'm sorry, not his house, his shop. It looks like a house.
At first, the disturbances were subtle, lights flickering without warning, strange noises echoing through the shop after closing hours, objects not exactly where they were left, small things that could easily be brushed off. But over time, the entire place began to feel heavy, like something had settled in. So one night, Jorge decides to go there himself, carefully walking through the shop, scanning every corner. Not just out of curiosity, but because he knows what this kind of activity can turn into. And there's a reason for that. Some of you might recognize Jorge from previous videos, but if you don't, he's been dealing with one of the most intense cases of paranormal activity we've covered, to the point where it escalated so badly his entire family had to leave their home. He's experienced shadow figures, constant disturbances, violent nightmares, and even moments where he appeared to be possessed, with no memory of what happened during those episodes. So when you factor that in, it raises a serious question. Why would someone already dealing with something like that go ahead and get a tattoo, especially one that might carry unknown symbolism or meaning? Some viewers believe that decision may not have been entirely his own, suggesting he could have been influenced, subtly pushed by whatever has been attached to him, leading him into situations that allow it to spread or anchor itself further. When Jorge arrives at the shop, he begins looking around carefully to know if something followed him there or he wasn't the cause at all. Watch.
This is the kind of reasons I think these gets attached, because you know there's a lot of demonic stuff in here. Look at the sign that says tattoo, but look what it's got on the bottom. It's got a whole demon. So check this out. Here, you know, he's got these crucifix and all that stuff, and I don't know what the hell is this. He's got some animals in here. I hope that does not turn around, because if it goes around, I'm most likely gonna have a breakdown. Garrett did show me a video, and there was an actual orb that came out of this mirror, which I'm gonna be posting that soon. I'm a little nervous, guys. I'm a little nervous, but you know, I'm gonna start the process. But I told him I will try my best to try to solve this and try to communicate. But if not, then I guess we're gonna have to skedaddle. Love you guys, and let's start this.
The things he finds inside the shop itself raises questions. A neon sign shaped like a downward pointing arrow with a grinning demon face at its tip. Jars of preserved animal specimens sitting openly on display. A golden skull placed beside a crucifix, and a large mirror reflecting the entire space back at him. Individually, these might seem like aesthetic choices, but together, they tell a different story. And that's where the situation splits into two disturbing possibilities. Either Jorge didn't bring anything into the shop at all, and his presence simply triggered something that was already tied to those objects, something demonic that had been dormant, waiting for the right moment to become active. Or he did bring something with him, and everything inside that shop, the symbols, the objects, the atmosphere, acted as a kind of landing ground, something for that presence to attach itself to spread, to manifest more freely. Watch this.
How are you?
What's up, brother?
How you doing? So
Great.
you reached out to me?
Yeah, man, I was calling, first of all, check up on that tattoo I did, and then second, to just kind of let you know, curious on what it was. Things have been happening, so.
Oh, it was a Lucifer sigil symbol.
Lucifer?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't thought you were gonna have a problem, but...
Come on, man, dude. Ever since I did that, this really weird shit's been...
Oh.
Weird shit's been...
Oh.
You see what I'm talking about, man?
Okay, I could definitely fix that. That was probably I could probably review my cameras, but I probably
Fix what? What do you mean fix that? What is that?
Is that been happening lately, or?
Yeah, things like that have been happening, but I didn't, like, what is fix that?
Yeah, So, do you what other stuff that you have experienced so far?
In here,
Yeah, here, there, anywhere.
Man.
In the house.
drill's been turning on, pictures been falling on the walls. My other location, you hear like pounding in the vents. You hear like nails, almost like dogs' nails scratching on the floor. Bats will be flying in there. We have to get them out.
Is it okay if I like maybe stay one night or something? Maybe I can probably figure something out.
Yeah, you can. I do have a tenant that lives downstairs, but I'm sure he won't mind.
I can't guarantee you that I might get everything out, but I could definitely work something because I've been trying to deal with stuff in my house. But
I'm gonna let you do whatever you do because I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, I mean, that's between you and that. I just like to keep believing that, that stuff is kind of...
A doll moves on the table, then a roll of paper towel drops on its own. Whatever the explanation is, whether this started with Jorge or was already waiting inside that shop, the pattern is hard to ignore. Because Garrett's list of disturbances all began after that one tattoo. But you be the judge. Now, in this next clip, a man is alone in his apartment late at night on October 7th of 2020, doing something as ordinary as working out with dumbbells in his living room, when a security camera catches something that goes from unsettling to genuinely terrifying in under a minute. For weeks before this, he'd been noticing things he couldn't quite explain around the apartment, but according to him, everything changed after he pulled a voodoo doll out of a nearby river. What that doll was doing there and who it belonged to, he never found out. But shortly after bringing it near his home, the activity started. Watch.
Hello?
First, it's the door, a loud, heavy wooden creak that stops him mid-rep. Then, the magazine on the coffee table slides on its own, the pumpkin falls, and a doll falls. Some viewers familiar with Voodoo and Haitian Vodou traditions believe that objects tied to those practices can act as anchors for spirits, and that removing one from where it was placed, especially from a body of water where offerings are sometimes deliberately left, can disturb whatever was meant to stay with it. So, what exactly followed him home from that river? You tell me. This next clip comes from a home security camera filmed late at night, capturing footage that a husband says shows his wife sleepwalking, something she has reportedly done before, but never like this. The camera is mounted high in the corner, giving a clear view of both the dining area and the living room beyond it, and what unfolds over the next minute and a half is the kind of footage that leaves more questions than answers. According to him, she had absolutely no memory of any of it the next morning. Watch. Chairs start moving on their own, without anyone touching them. Then something appears to crawl up onto the table toward her. Moments later, a door slams shut. But what really unsettled viewers wasn't just the movement of objects. It was the shadow moving around the room before she even sat down, and then lingering, shifting, almost circling her while she remained in that state, completely unaware of what's happening around her. Some viewers believe this goes beyond sleepwalking entirely, suggesting the possibility of a spiritual or even demonic presence interacting with her, or worse, using that state, that moment where she's not fully conscious, as an opening. And the situation becomes even more serious when you consider one detail people couldn't ignore. She's with child. That alone changed the tone of the entire conversation, with many viewers urging them to leave immediately. The following clip was recorded by a man named Nate, who has spent months trying to understand what's happening inside his house. His experiences didn't begin all at once. They built up slowly. First, it was the voices, faint, unclear, and easy to dismiss. Then came the scratches, thin marks appearing on his skin overnight with no explanation. And then the kitchen became the center of it all. Objects shifting, things falling, and disturbances that made it impossible for more than a few quiet days to pass. But one morning, everything felt different and too quiet until this happened.
So I'm in the middle of working out, and I hear shuffling and banging coming from the kitchen or the basement. I'm not sure which one. It was loud though, super loud. I almost dropped the weights, it was so startling. Hello? I was just in there working out. Nobody in the kitchen. Back door is locked. Nobody here, of course.
After Nate says hello, a voice responds, "You hear me?" Then when Nate says, "I don't understand," something whispers again, but whatever it says isn't fully clear. Many viewers believe the voice sounds like a child, meaning the spirit of a child might be attached to the home, especially since child spirits are often associated with scattering objects and trying to get attention. But others aren't convinced it's harmless because scratches, whispers, and intelligent responses don't always point to something innocent. But I'll leave you to be the judge. Now, this next clip was captured by a family's CCTV camera, and it's the exact moment the father finally stopped dismissing everything his family had been experiencing. For months, strange things had been happening inside their home. The kids would run into the room crying, saying they saw someone standing nearby. His wife would occasionally freeze mid-conversation, convinced she had just heard a voice close to her ear. But every time, he reassured them it was nothing. Stress, imagination, or the house settling. Until one evening when he was alone babysitting their youngest child while working on his computer. Watch this.
Ball! He's not catching ball with you? Yeah. You need somebody to play ball?
As you can see, the refrigerator door suddenly opens on its own. He immediately stands and walks toward it, clearly expecting to find someone standing there, maybe one of the kids or an explanation he could finally point to. But there's nothing. Some people believe this could be a poltergeist, a type of presence known for physically interacting with objects, opening doors, and making its presence known in subtle but deliberate ways. And now, for the first time, he's no longer trying to explain it away. He's trying to find answers. Until then, this remains unsolved. The following footage was captured by a CCTV camera in a woman's yard at around 3 a.m., an hour many people already associate with unexplained activity. At first, everything looks normal and the yard is quiet, still, and completely empty. But then, out of nowhere, something appears. Watch this carefully. After reviewing the footage, she said she couldn't convince herself it was anything normal. She insists there was no one outside that night. No neighbors, no visitors, no one who could explain what her camera captured. Moments like this raise a disturbing thought, because every night while most people are asleep, the world becomes quiet enough for other things to move unnoticed. Things that pass through empty streets, across silent yards, and disappear long before anyone ever realizes they were there. The camera simply caught what the human eye wasn't meant to see. So the question is, what exactly walked through her yard that night? You decide. This next video was recorded by a woman who works at a 911 dispatch center, a place where every call could mean the difference between life and death. And if you've ever worked late nights in a building like that, you know how quiet it gets. Because once the calls stop coming in, once the radios fall silent, there's nothing left but empty hallways, dim lights, and your own thoughts. But in her case, she wasn't alone. She had already been experiencing strange things for weeks. Phones would ring. Even though they weren't connected to any active line, drawers would slowly slide open on their own, and sometimes, in the middle of complete silence, she would hear what sounded like someone whispering her name. The scariest part? It all seemed to begin the exact day her boss mentioned relocating the dispatch center to a new building, almost as if something there had heard it and didn't want them to leave. Watch this.
So, not work again. Polter's acting up as we're now referring to her. Maybe it's somebody. I don't know. Nobody should be here. There's literally no one here.
Places like this hold more than equipment and desks. They hold emotion, panic, fear, and final words. Dispatchers are often the last voice someone hears before everything changes forever, so a lot of people believe that kind of energy doesn't simply disappear, and in this case is finally revealing itself. After she posted that footage, viewers urged her to try communicating with whatever was there. Some believed it might be trying to get her attention. Others warned her never to acknowledge it, saying that recognition can make activity worse. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened.
So, y'all have been following my polter diaries here lately. So I'm pretty sure there's something standing in the doorway to the break room. Am I crazy, or is that somebody standing there? I don't... Y'all see that?
The moment she notices the movement, her entire body freezes, because this time, there's no denying it. Something is there with her. Her boss eventually stepped in, promising she wouldn't have to work alone anymore, but his decision wasn't just about protecting her, it was about confirming if what she was saying was true. One night, she returned, this time with someone else present. And what they captured next changed everything.
Hey guys, this is just an update to let you all know that I'm okay. I'm back at work today, but I'm no longer working by myself. I have someone here with me. Everything's been fine so far. We haven't had anything today, so... And here we go. What was that? What? It came from the hallway. Oh my god. No. Oh my god.
The thought that someone was in the attic or came out from the attic unsettled them. And since that night, there's been no clear explanation of what was truly inside that dispatch center, only the footage, and the disturbing possibility that some places remember every emergency that ever happened inside them. Now, in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian visits one of the most feared and talked about locations in Indiana, the Blackford County Jail, hoping to understand why so many unexplained incidents are still being reported there. Built in the late 1800s, the jail once held inmates, law enforcement, and the sheriff himself under the same roof. Over time, stories began to surface. Visitors reported hearing footsteps when no one else was inside. Others claimed to hear doors moving, objects shifting, and sounds that resembled someone quietly working in empty rooms. Ian enters the building fully aware of its history, so he begins by trying to communicate with whatever might still be there. For a while, nothing responds, until this happens.
Alright, well, it's pretty quiet, so I think I'm gonna move on. Whoa, what the? Okay, Ed, I feel like you were definitely in here. What the heck was that? That was so weird. What the heck? Dude, that literally sounded like somebody was in there. What the heck? It was so quiet in there. Like nothing was happening. And then right when I walk out, that happens.
As he prepares to leave the sheriff's office, a very distinct sound breaks the silence. It sounds exactly like a coffee cup being placed down on a hard surface. Ian immediately goes back inside to check, but there's nothing there. But as he's about to leave again, this happens.
Dude, there's nothing on these tables. Nothing up there. Ed, I'm definitely not going to try to tell you what to do, being a sheriff, but man, like that was interesting. Could you do that again? It's dead silent in here again. You know what? I'm gonna try walking out again. Okay, Ed. I'm leaving for sure this time. No f***ing way, dude. Again! Again! Dude, there's weird sounds going on in there. Every time I walk out, it happens. That's twice. That can't be like a coincidence. It sounded like paper almost. Alright, Ed, I can't tell if you're like messing with me now or what. I mean, either way, it's fine. I'm enjoying this.
This time, he heard the sound of paper moving, as if someone was inside the office, the very room where paperwork would have been handled daily, reports would have been written, and cases would have been reviewed. So was that the sheriff's ghost still doing his office duties? Or something else entirely? The following video dates back to 2024 and was captured by a family's security camera on a quiet Sunday night at around 9 p.m., a time when nothing unusual would normally be expected, especially inside a home where everyone is settled in for the evening. That sense of normalcy, however, is interrupted when the woman's son goes into the kitchen to make himself a cup of coffee, a simple routine that quickly turns into something far more unsettling. Not long after, he rushes back to her room, visibly shaken, his face pale and his voice unsteady, insisting that he heard someone call his name, not faintly or from a distance, but clearly enough to make him respond, even though no one in the house had called out to him. Within seconds, the CCTV system sends a notification, motion detected in the living room, despite the fact that no one is supposed to be there. Naturally, they check the footage, expecting to find something ordinary, something explainable. But instead, they see this watch. The camera itself begins to move, as though it is tracking something. Then, without warning, the scooter seat snaps shut with force. Some viewers pointed out that in the initial footage, while the sound is clear, the movement itself is difficult to fully see, raising questions about whether it could be a technical issue or a trick of perspective. But then, they shared another angle. Watch. This time, the movement becomes harder to dismiss, reinforcing the idea that something is interacting with the environment. After this incident, the family decides to bless the house, taking steps to cleanse the space and restore a sense of safety. And for a while, it seems to work, as the disturbances stop and life returns to normal, or at least something close to it. But nearly 2 years later, on March 17th, 2026, at around 2 a.m. when everyone in the house is asleep, something happens again. Watch. The bike was stationary and untouched, so how did this happen? The family is beginning to think that whatever may have been present before didn't fully leave, but instead remained dormant, quiet for a long period before making itself known again. Now the family is left questioning whether what they experienced years ago has returned, or whether there is another explanation that is yet to be uncovered. Because when something disappears and then reappears after such a long silence, it creates the unsettling possibility that it was never truly gone, only waiting for the right moment to be noticed again. But you be the judge. In this next clip, a woman is home alone, going about something as routine as doing the dishes when she suddenly begins to hear strange knocking sounds coming from another part of the house. But when she looks around, everything appears normal. No movement and no sign of anyone being there. Still unsettled, she decides to take an extra step, setting up a camera in the living room before heading back to the kitchen, almost as if she anticipates that whatever made the noise might happen again, but this time she wants proof. A few minutes later, the camera captures this. Watch.
Okay, I'm so crazy, right? Here you go. Baby is terrified. Hold on. I know. You're okay.
broken. I know. God, I'm like shaking.
For a long time, these events remained unexplained, disconnected pieces of a pattern she couldn't fully understand until she eventually traced it back to something she had almost forgotten about. A necklace she purchased back in 2011 from an estate sale, something she initially saw as just a unique vintage piece. The necklace carried unfamiliar symbols, details she didn't think much of at the time, but later came to learn were associated with a figure known for occult rituals and darker spiritual practices, giving the object a context she hadn't considered when she first brought it into her home. Some viewers have pointed out that in many beliefs, objects linked to rituals or symbolic practices are not always the source, but sometimes just a medium, something that allows access rather than containing it, which raises a more unsettling possibility that removing the object may not necessarily remove whatever became attached through it. Now, in this next video, a family documents a series of escalating events inside their home, compiling multiple incidents over time to show just how far things have progressed, and what stands out immediately is not just the activity itself, but the pattern, because each new experience appears more intense than the last, as though whatever is behind it is becoming more comfortable, more direct, and far less subtle in how it makes its presence known. Have a look. At different points, the activity takes on different forms. Sometimes it's objects being thrown with force, like a knife suddenly moving in a way that clearly isn't accidental. Other times, it's voices echoing through the house when no one is speaking, or lights behaving unpredictably, flickering or reacting without any clear electrical cause. Viewers believe this may not be a simple haunting, but something more aggressive, like a demon. And this raises a deeper question. How do demons find their way into homes? Some believe it can begin with seemingly small actions, bringing in objects with unknown histories, engaging with rituals or practices without full understanding, or even repeated acknowledgement of unexplained activity, which in certain beliefs is thought to strengthen whatever is there. Others suggest that prolonged emotional stress or conflict within a space can create an environment that attracts or amplifies negative presence, turning the home itself into a place where that energy can settle and grow. So, whether you see this as something explainable or something far more serious, one thing becomes clear. Being mindful of what you bring into your space, what you engage with, and what you choose to ignore may matter more than it seems. Because once something crosses that threshold, getting it to leave may not be nearly as simple as keeping it out in the first place. So, beware. A family who had just moved into a new apartment begins to notice small things that don't quite add up. The kind of details that are easy to brush off at first, but become harder to ignore the more often they happen. It starts with subtle disturbances, objects not being where they were left, faint sounds late at night that seem to come from empty rooms, and moments where the air feels strangely heavy, as though the space hasn't quite settled into being lived in yet. Over time, these incidents begin to form a pattern, one that the family can no longer dismiss as coincidence, especially after experiencing multiple events that feel increasingly difficult to explain. By the time this recording is made, they refer to it as the third major incident they've captured, almost as if they've reached a point where they expect something to happen rather than hope it won't. Watch.
See, it's still happening. Honestly, this is all the time. Whoa, Jesus. The cat scared the shit out of me. Rory, you were really scaring the shit out of me. I know Rory didn't do that. What the f is going on? What the f happened, Rory?
Your first thought is airflow from a vent, but how do you explain the door? What adds to the tension is the fact that he was completely alone at the time, removing any immediate explanation tied to another person's presence. When activities begin shortly after moving into a new space, it may not be something newly introduced, but something that was already there, something tied to the environment rather than the people who now occupy it. And when each new incident builds on the last, becoming more noticeable, more physical, and harder to dismiss, it creates a growing sense that whatever is causing it is not random. But until more updates are shared, what exactly is behind these disturbances remains unclear. The following video is about a man named Jorge, who for some time has been dealing with recurring shadow figures and a series of deeply unsettling events that, at first, seemed limited to his surroundings. Objects shifting slightly out of place, brief shapes appearing at the edge of his vision, and an ongoing feeling that he was not alone, even when there was no one else physically present. There was also a moment that raised even more concern, when he began acting in a way he could not later recall, behavior that others described as completely unlike him, leaving him dependent on his own security footage to understand what had taken place, as if there were periods of time where he was present, but not fully in control. And now, this is what he's dealing with. Watch.
Guys, I was getting ready to go to sleep and I just heard a door slam. Shut loud. I just heard a door slam. Oh, shit! Oh no. Oh, somebody's there. In the name of the Son and the Holy Spirit, I ask every demon, I command every demon to leave the house right now. I command in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, leave the house now. In the name of the in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I ask you to leave this house now. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. You are not welcome in this home. You are not welcome in this home. This is the house of... There's a door slamming and people screaming. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. shit! Oh, shit! In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Shit!
At first, the door slammed, then he felt something move past him. Some interpretations suggest that when activity progresses from external disturbances to direct influence on a person's physical state and awareness, it may indicate a deeper level of attachment, something that is no longer confined to the environment alone. Others believe that the presence of shadow-like movement, especially when it appears to move quickly and deliberately, can be associated with entities that do not fully manifest, but still retain the ability to interact with both space and perception. For now, what Jorge is experiencing continues without a clear explanation or resolution, and until more information comes to light, this case remains one of those situations where the pieces are visible, the pattern is forming, but the full picture is still just out of reach. Now this next video was captured by Jennifer, who owns a beautiful historic home dating all the way back to 1907, a place filled with carefully preserved antique pieces, some of which date even earlier to around 1903, giving the house a sense of history that feels both rich and, at times, a little too present. At first glance, everything about the home appears warm and inviting, the kind of place that reflects elegance and character rather than anything unsettling. However, after speaking with a local historian, Jennifer learned something that added a different layer to that history, that when the house was first built, there were no nearby hospitals, and as a result, it is believed that at least 4 people passed away inside the home itself, a detail that, while not unusual for the time period, begins to take on a different meaning when paired with what she starts experiencing. On this particular day, while cleaning the second floor, she begins to hear something. Listen closely.
Hearing some noises upstairs. Emily went home. I'm cleaning. I usually clean on Saturdays. I feel like when I clean, hear that. Then I hear noises upstairs. Just heard it speaking also. Like a voice, but the noises in the upstairs are coming from that way. Hear that? Wow. Good, I really hope they're cleaning because I could use some help. It's crazy. It's like I hear like a broom being dragged by, or just housekeeper shuffling or something. Obviously the creek. Oh, I just heard some music again. Wow.
Before jumping to conclusions, there's a piece of the home's past that many believe could be connected to what's happening. As far back as the 1930s, the family who lived there had a housekeeper named Mildred, and according to stories passed down by previous residents, the house tends to become noticeably more active during the month she passed away, with sounds that resemble someone moving through the rooms, almost as if routine has continued long after it should have ended. To this day, the house remains a place filled with both history and unanswered questions, and whatever presence may still linger within its walls remains a mystery. The following video was captured inside a hospital by Dave, a man who claims he's been gifted with sight since he was young. According to him, he doesn't just sense things, he sees and hears them, and he says spirits tend to follow him, especially in places where emotions are intense, like hospitals, cemeteries, abandoned buildings, places where life and death have crossed paths. While Dav was receiving treatment, he suddenly felt like he wasn't alone in the room. Watch.
There's like something in this room. That is like moving, like the chairs. Move this shit around here. Oh, my bad. That shit hurt. But anyways, if there's a spirit in here, just let me know. And sometimes things, this is Kaiser. Oh, man. I felt like a really, really heavy presence in this room right when I walked in, but I just thought I see something sitting right there. I'm sorry. My phone. That's not good. There's a lot of things happening here. Again, that door slowly opened and closed right now. If there's anything in here, just give me a sign. I'm here in peace. Okay, you can say anything. Just don't mess with my heart monitor or anything. That started to move. But it could be people up there. I just came up here. Something here, TV or something. Move anything you want. Let the people know that you're speaking to this thing. Show me your hair, presents. You could, I got a gift, and I'm not afraid. So if you decide to move anything, open that door again, I won't be frightened. What the hell? Oh. Whoa, shh. Excuse me, nurse. Oh, that's some activity. Excuse me. This thing fell. Right here. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just fell.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just sleeping and.
Well, that scared you, huh?
Yeah, it scared the shit.
I was worried. I thought you fell.
Oh no.
It wasn't you. All right.
Okay, people, that was a scary situation. I know I didn't jerk, but yeah, it's ghost activity. Oh my god. Oh crap. Well, I got the gift, but I'm not gonna abuse it. I just asked for, little signs here and there. They showed them to me. Nothing to be alarmed about, people. Didn't feel it was evil at all. But, whoa, I know you guys heard that over there. Woo! Anyways, God bless you guys. I'm not gonna entertain them anymore because I don't need my heart to go racing. God bless you guys. But anyways, I was gonna cut this video short, but right when I was gonna cut it short, something else happened. But I'm waiting for it to happen again. So this right here, mind you, this is the only sliding door that's open. But this right here pulled all the way back this way. So what happened last time was I was asking it for a sign, and it pushed over this metal thing right here. I had to tell the nurse I was sleeping because I didn't want her to think I did the shit, or I just told her I don't know. I didn't know what to, make up, but this shit is It's crazy, you know. And all I asked is for a sign, you know. And they give them to me. But the thing is, I'm like used to it when there are signs, you know. But in hospitals, there's a lot of activity, and I already know like I'm gonna find something, you know, that would like give me a sign or whatever. Oh, just like that. That was up there under my sweater or some shit. Okay. Okay. I know you're not welcome here, so you can go back to wherever you come from. Cause I'm gonna take a nap. And this arm right here is, you can't do nothing with it. It hurts. So I gotta lay on my side right here. Hey people, God bless you, blessings, and man, pray for me.
If you listen closely, after he says, "I'm here for peace," a faint whisper can be heard saying, "Help," and then what sounds like "knife." That detail is what unsettled viewers the most. Some speculate it could be the spirit of someone who passed away in that very room, possibly someone connected to surgery or a traumatic procedure. Hospitals are places of healing, but they're also places of loss, fear, and unfinished stories. In paranormal theory, strong emotional events can leave behind residual energy, like a recording that replays under the right conditions. Others believe this could be an intelligent haunting, meaning whatever is there is aware and responding directly to Dave, especially since the whisper appears right after he speaks. During his stay, Dave also mentioned feeling a heavy presence near the chair in the room. He said the energy felt concentrated there, like someone was sitting and watching him, but when he looked, no one was there. Of course, skeptics argue hospitals are full of ambient noise, machines humming, distant voices, equipment moving, and audio pareidolia can make random sounds seem like words. According to them, when you expect to hear something, your brain can fill in the blanks. So was it simply hospital acoustics playing tricks on the ears? Or did someone or something in that room hear him when he said he came in peace and answered back? You decide. In this next video, Andrea is walking her dog late at night when something in the distance makes her stop. At first, she thinks it's just her eyes adjusting to the dark, but then she notices shapes that don't look quite right, so she pulls out her phone and starts recording. Have a look. In the distance, 3 shadow figures appear to be standing completely still. Some believe they could simply be people standing under poor lighting, their features swallowed by the darkness. At night, depth perception becomes unreliable. Streetlights can distort proportions, and shadows can merge together, making ordinary figures look unnaturally tall or solid black. But others argue something feels off. In paranormal discussions, shadow figures are often described exactly this way: human-shaped, lacking detail, and usually seen in peripheral vision. They're said to be watchers, observers, and in some reports, they appear in groups of 2 or 3. The fact that there are 3 of them standing together raises even more concern for believers. Some theories suggest that multiple figures appearing at once could indicate something more intelligent or coordinated, not residual energy, but active presence. As for danger, most accounts claim shadow entities don't always attack, but they can induce fear, paralysis, or a feeling of being targeted. And fear is something certain entities feed off. Whatever they were, one thing is clear: they weren't moving, and they were aware enough to stand there while being filmed. Until clear footage surfaces, what Andre saw that night remains a mystery. Now in this next video, a team of paranormal investigators visit an abandoned house that locals have refused to go near for years. The place has been empty for decades, and as many paranormal researchers will tell you, abandoned buildings have a way of holding onto energy. When houses are left to decay, especially ones tied to unknown histories, tragedies, or sudden departures, believers say the energy inside can become stagnant, trapped. So the team sets up their equipment, EMF readers, cameras, and most importantly, trip wires. For those unfamiliar, tripwires are extremely sensitive devices designed to trigger if something physically passes through them. Not wind, not distant vibration, but something crossing the line. As they begin asking questions, trying to provoke a response, this happens.
And see what's popping. Nope, that's not a new tripwire. That's the same tripwire that we use at the breakfast state, that I've used in other places. Okay. That door just opened up by itself. I didn't even get that far. Dude.
You went up here or either.
This door just opened up by itself. Here we go. Wait. Crazy, right? That was me. I bumped into the table here. If you heard something rattle, that was me. But that door opening up.
The trip wires suddenly went nuts, and then, almost on cue, the door slowly opens by itself. Skeptics argue structural shifts could trigger the wires, but paranormal experts would say something else entirely. They believe abandoned spaces can act like containers, especially if something tragic happened there. If investigators actively try to communicate, they're essentially knocking on whatever door exists between worlds. And sometimes, something knocks back. Abandoned buildings already carry risk, unstable floors, toxic air, human squatters. But if something unseen is also moving through the halls, that's a different kind of danger. So was this structural coincidence, or did something in that house finally respond to being called out? You decide. The following video was recorded by a woman named Simone during what was supposed to be a normal evening walk. Watch closely. If you pause at the right moment, you'll notice a dark figure leaning against a tree before it suddenly darts away. At first, Simone brushed it off. Maybe it was a trick of the light, maybe someone was hiding. But what unsettled her wasn't just what she saw, it was what she felt after leaving the area. Even when she had completely walked past the tree line, she couldn't shake the sensation that someone was still behind her, matching her pace. On her way home, she passed a strange building she'd never paid attention to before. This time, she went in. As she steps inside the dark room, look toward the right side of the door near the end of the clip. Something shifts behind it. Simone later said that's when the idea first crossed her mind. What if whatever she saw near the tree wasn't random? What if it was watching her? A few evenings later, she passed the same building again, and this time she heard a voice that sounded exactly like her sister calling her name.
I don't know why the lights are on, but I'm going inside of this house. I just heard my sister's voice, and I'm sick of this. And I need to figure out what's going on so I can put a stop to it. this chair in the middle of the floor?
Mimicking entities are considered particularly dangerous. They don't just appear, they imitate familiar voices to lure people closer. When Simone stepped inside, she noticed a chair positioned strangely in the middle of the room. Before she could even finish talking, she saw the figure again. After that encounter, she convinced herself the entity was attached to the abandoned house, not her. But that assumption didn't last long, because soon after, her own home stopped being quiet. Banging at night, footsteps when she's alone, whispers she can't trace, and an overwhelming sense of fear that comes without warning. One day, a friend visited after hearing everything, and this happened.
Hey guys, it's Simone again.
You kidding me?
Yeah. So I'm here with my friend Lexi, and I thought that this was over, but it's still happening. Something from this entity is still trying to get to me, so...
I thought you were kidding.
No.
Like, this is horrible.
I'm not kidding.
I don't know how you've been living like this. This is literally, like, I've checked this door 5 times. There's no way anyone is in the backyard.
So, still going on, and I just wanted to come back and report to you guys that it's still impacting my life every day.
I'm so sorry. This is insane.
Here's the unsettling theory. If the activity followed Simone home, then this may not be about a haunted location anymore. It could be attachment, a phenomenon where an entity fixates on a person rather than a place. And attachments, according to paranormal researchers, rarely fade on their own. It's hard to walk away from something like this without answers, but Simone isn't ready to stop investigating until she understands what's happening. Now, this strange video was posted on December 27th, 2025 by a veterinary hospital in Madison, Alabama. But what makes it even more unsettling is that the footage itself had reportedly been kept private for nearly 4 years. According to the clinic's owner, Renee, something happened that night that caused all employees on shift to stop what they were doing. Have a look.
That's weird. Where is that coming from? It don't sound like it's coming from. Okay, so you still want to do banana bags, 15 mils an hour, head of starch, 4 mils an hour. It's coming from over this way. Alright. Medication, metronidazole, 15 mils BID, ideal. Wait, is it Scarlet? Clipped off. Wait. I clipped it off before getting meds. Is my drop it off up there? That's coming from up there. They may have done that when they switched the bag. Is it the new bag for me? No. Alright, who's making it help me? It's in the lobby. It's coming from the lobby. No, it's not. Where is that? It's up in here. What is that? What, phantom dolls? That's so weird. Is it Charles? You heard that, right? We all heard that. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. What did you hear? A dog keeps yapping. Is it Dakota? No. Look at this. Coming from over here. Why don't you look at the front porch? If actually made it dump or if I wanted the pin outside or something. I didn't hear anything. You're not hearing that. 3 of us heard it. I didn't hear it. No. You heard it, right? I heard it. I didn't hear it. It sounds like it's coming from this side. You can't hear it at ISO though, right? No. Look at that fence out there. It makes you somebody that wouldn't have been. heard nothing. I was like, what are y'all talking about? Yeah, that's a brand new thing. That's fucking bizarre. It is? Yeah. Did you I haven't heard it. I still haven't heard it. All three of us heard it. And it was coming from that. It sounded like it was in that room or something. Like it sounded like it was like right on your board. We're gonna play that back. I didn't even hear anything. Can you play it like specifically in those rooms or anything?
After reviewing the footage, Renee says there was no logical explanation for what they witnessed. And this wasn't an isolated event. Over time, strange activity became almost routine inside the clinic. Dog kennels securely latched would open on their own in the middle of the night. Office supplies and lightweight equipment were found scattered across rooms that had been locked. Staff members reported hearing scratching sounds coming from empty runs long after the last patient had gone home. Sometimes motion sensors would trigger in rooms where no animal was being treated. For a veterinary hospital, that detail hits differently. Because this isn't just any building, it's a place filled with heightened emotion, fear, grief, relief, heartbreak. It's where some families say goodbye to beloved pets, and many pet owners will tell you that after their animal passes, they still hear the faint scratch at the door, still feel the weight at the foot of the bed, still think they see a quick shadow dart past in the hallway. Some believe animals, especially loyal ones, linger, and that's the theory whispered among staff, that perhaps some of the dogs who passed away in that clinic never fully left, that the scratching isn't imagination, and that the kennel's opening isn't mechanical failure. So what do you think? Is it residual energy, emotional imprints replaying themselves, or something else using the setting to its advantage? Renee says she doesn't know what's in her clinic, but she's no longer convinced it's empty after closing time. The following footage was recorded by a restaurant security camera, and over time, people who have come across it have started to see it as a possible example of residual hauntings, or what some would describe as an intelligent presence continuing a routine long after death. What led to this footage being discovered in the first place was a pattern the workers could no longer ignore, because every morning when they arrived, they kept finding kitchen items out of place, not missing, not stolen, but rearranged in ways that didn't match how the space had been left the night before. At first, it was brushed off as forgetfulness or poor closing routines, but as it kept happening, they decided to go back and review the security recordings to understand what was really going on. And this is what they found. Watch. In the footage, something that resembles a figure can be seen moving within the kitchen area with motions that resemble washing dishes. That detail is what led to the rumor that quickly spread among workers, the idea that this could be connected to a former dishwasher who had worked at the restaurant and passed away not long before all the weird activity began. While there is no confirmed evidence tying the figure directly to that individual, the nature of the movement has made that theory difficult for some people to ignore. There is a belief in paranormal discussions that when someone spends a large part of their life doing the same task, especially in environments tied to routine and repetition, that energy can linger, either as a residual imprint that replays certain actions or as something more aware that continues what it once did. The idea of being unable to move on, not out of choice but because something keeps you tied to where you once belonged, is what makes cases like this feel particularly disturbing. Because no one wants to imagine spending their life working toward rest, only to remain in the same place, repeating the same actions, unseen and unheard. For now, this one remains a mystery. This next video is about one of the most deeply rooted human fears, the moment when a place that is supposed to be safe, familiar, and entirely yours suddenly feels occupied by something you cannot explain. In this case, a man approaches his apartment one evening, expecting nothing unusual, just another routine return home. But before he even gets to the door, he looks up, and from his bedroom window, there is something staring directly at him. Watch.
I'm outside of my apartment building, and there's something watching me from my window. Hold up. I don't know what who that is, but it keeps watching me, following me. Oh my God. Okay. And as soon as I run back upstairs, it's gonna disappear. What do you want?
In the footage, a strange figure can be seen positioned at the window, its shape unsettling not just because it is out of place, but because of how defined it appears. Some viewers were quick to suggest that it could be a piece of clothing, maybe a shirt hanging in a way that creates the illusion of a figure, but that explanation becomes harder to accept the longer you watch because the structure doesn't quite match something limp or fabric-like. There is a form to it, and toward the end of the clip, there is a subtle movement. Some believe there is the possibility that whatever it was had been there longer than he realized, unnoticed, blending into the environment until that night. But until more details are shared, this one remains unsolved. Now in this next clip, an urban explorer enters an abandoned house, expecting the usual silence, decay, and stillness that comes with places long left behind, but what his camera captures instead turns the entire experience into something far more unsettling than he could have anticipated. Watch.
¿Hola? ¿Qué? Niño, ¿qué chucha fue?
Inside the house, he spots what appears to be a child moving around, casually playing with a ball, a moment that feels completely out of place in a structure that shows no signs of life, no electricity, no activity, nothing to suggest anyone has been living there. And even if you try to set the paranormal aside for a second, the situation is disturbing on its own, because the presence of a child in a deserted building immediately raises questions that don't have easy answers, like where the child is coming from, how they are surviving in an environment like that, and why they are alone in a place that looks completely abandoned. Naturally, he begins to search the area, checking rooms and spaces where the child could have gone, but there is nothing. After leaving that house, he heads to another building nearby, possibly hoping to find some explanation, maybe even the child again, or someone connected to them. But what he encounters next only deepens the mystery. Watch.
No, que yo sepa nadie tiene llave, si está abandonado.
¿Esa silla estaba ahí?
No me di cuenta de la silla, gente. No, hemos bajado y no había ni una silla.
¡Ay, Alexito! ¡Uy, qué verga era eso! ¡Uy, mano! ¡Uy! Hermano, había una cabeza peluda. Ten cuidado. Déjalo aquí, a ver, déjalo aquí de nuevo. Déjalo ahí. Había una cabeza peluda allá, Alexito. Hola, buenas noches. Buenas noches. ¿Hay alguien aquí? Alexito, ¿aquí cuidan?
This time, a figure briefly peeks out, and although only part of it is visible, there is no mistaking that something is there. What makes this entire situation even more disturbing is the condition of the area itself, because it appears that multiple houses along that street have been abandoned, each one empty, each one silent, yet not entirely without presence. It begins to feel less like a single strange encounter and more like a pattern, as if every structure holds its own unexplained detail, something just out of sight but close enough to be noticed. And when you start to look at it that way, it becomes easier to understand why no one lives there anymore. Because even without clear answers, the atmosphere alone suggests that something about that place has driven people away. The explorer has mentioned plans to reach out to former residents, hoping to uncover what might have happened in those homes and whether there is a history that could explain what he experienced. But until then, the footage leaves behind more questions than answers. Was that really a child? Or something using the image of one to appear less threatening? And if every house on that street has something in it, then what exactly happened there? For now, it remains unsolved. This next video shows what can happen when people live with unexplained activity for so long that fear slowly turns into frustration and eventually into a decision to confront whatever is causing it. For Michael and his teenage son, that moment comes after months of disturbances inside their home, including strange noises, cold spots that seem to form without reason, and lights that flicker at the most inconvenient times. But through all of it, one place in the house always feels different: the basement. There is something about it that stands out, something that doesn't feel empty, but occupied, as if whatever has been moving through their home has chosen that space as its center point. So one evening, instead of avoiding it, they decide to go down there together. Michael prepares in the only way he knows how, slipping a pouch of blessed salt and a small crucifix into his pocket. Items often associated with spiritual protection, not because he is certain of what he will face, but because he no longer wants to feel unprepared. Then, with his son beside him, they step into the basement and lock the door behind them. Watch.
I'm gonna lock us in. Shit. Okay. Hold on. Take your time. Did you hear that? It's down here. We got it. You smell that?
Oh, it smells like shit, bro.
Anything?
There's a bunch of broken glass everywhere.
Okay, we're gonna go. You go this way too. Stay close to me. Dude, stop, stay by me. It was glass. Don't move.
Watch your phone.
I know. God, you smell that. Did you fart?
No. It's super cold down here too.
It's winter time.
Oh yeah,
Cover, stop. Alright, we're gonna make a run for it.
If it traps us, you're dying first.
It's gonna just go. Shit. Hold on. Oh, shit, good. Oh, God. What? No. We gotta get out of it. What are we gonna do? No, stop. Here.
You locked us in.
I gotta go.
You locked us in.
No. We make a break. There's nothing there. Stay by me. Stay right behind me. This is a bad idea. Just chill out. Oh shit, it's still there.
Why is it so?
What are we gonna do?
I don't know.
You got your phone?
No, I don't.
The noise down there was strange and deep, like growls, but what really stood out was the smell. At first, it seems almost dismissible, something unpleasant but explainable, like something spoiled or out of place. But as the seconds pass, it changes, becoming heavier, sharper, and far more intense, until it settles into something that is difficult to ignore: a sulfuric scent. If there's one thing we know, it's that paranormal investigators often say that the smell of sulfur is a sign of demonic presence, easily mistaken at first, but unmistakable once it hits. But maybe, just maybe, the strange noise and smell could be dismissed. What they saw standing still in the corner of the room is proof that whatever happened in that basement wasn't imaginary. It wasn't even residual energy. It was real, and it was demonic. The following footage was recorded inside a restaurant, but what led to its discovery didn't start with anything obviously paranormal. It began with small, frustrating inconsistencies that slowly built into something no one working there could confidently explain. Important documents would go missing, only to reappear in completely different places, and at times, staff members claimed they had seen things out of the corner of their eye, subtle movements, shadows, or the sense that someone had just walked past when no one else was around. At first, management assumed it was carelessness, people were blamed, warnings were given, and the situation was treated like a human error problem rather than anything unusual. But the complaints didn't stop, and the incidents didn't line up with anyone's shifts or responsibilities. Eventually, they decided to check the security footage, and that's when everything changed. Watch.
All over the ground, and it got my backpack wet. So I wanted to find out who did it, so I came in to check the cameras. And we're gonna go 30-second intervals. So every click's 30 seconds. Watch this area here. Craziest shit ever. What the hell? Now we're just gonna play it. Nobody's in the office. It's a notepad of paper. It just moves right out. Wait for it. What the hell? Now watch the book still. No editing. This shit's
The movements don't feel accidental, and they don't follow a pattern that could easily be explained by airflow or vibration. Some believe this could be the presence of someone who once had a connection to that space, someone who handled those same documents, worked in that same environment, and somehow remains tied to it. And then there is the more disturbing angle. If something unseen is capable of going through documents, shifting them, and leaving them in different places, then it might be looking for something. So the question is, what exactly is still working inside that restaurant after everyone has gone home? And why does it seem so interested in those papers? This next clip dates back to 2021 and was captured by a CCTV camera inside the home of a woman named Gabrielle. On this particular day, the house is supposed to be empty except for her father, making what happens in the footage even harder to explain. At some point, he begins to notice that something in the house is trying to get his attention, not through movement at first, but through sound. Watch. If you listen closely, there are voices, but not just random sounds or unclear whispers. What makes this disturbing is that the voices seem familiar, resembling Gabrielle and her daughter, even though neither of them is home at the time. There is no television playing, no background source that could explain where the voices are coming from, and yet it sounds as though someone is inside the house calling out. Then another detail adds to the confusion. The door sensor goes off, indicating that a door has been opened, something that should only happen if someone physically enters or exits. But when her father steps out to check, there is no one there. This doesn't happen just once either, because each time he responds to the sound or the alert, he finds the same thing. Nothing. No person, no movement, just silence returning as quickly as it was broken. After Gabrielle shared the footage, many viewers were skeptical and asked for another camera angle, specifically one that would show the living room and the television, to rule out the possibility that the voices were coming from a screen. So she shared another clip. See, watch. In this angle, the television is clearly off. The room is empty, and there is nothing visible that could be producing the sounds heard earlier. Some believe this could be a case of mimicry, and what makes mimicry particularly disturbing is the level of accuracy it can have, how it learns the patterns, voices, and routines of the people living there, repeating them at moments when it knows someone will respond. So, do you also think it's a mimic, or there's something we're not seeing? The following clip centers on a couple who, for weeks now, have been dealing with something that has steadily disrupted their peace. Something persistent enough that they no longer see it as random, but as connected to a specific event they can't ignore. A few weeks earlier, the husband's twin brother passed away, and according to them, that's when everything began. Since then, there have been repeated attempts, something knocking, something trying to open the door at odd hours, always when the house is quiet, always when it feels most unsettling. Not once or twice, but often enough to form a pattern that's hard to dismiss. Watch. Before leaving the house one day, the husband made sure to install a secure key system, and it wasn't just for general safety. He had two very specific reasons. The first was obvious. The constant knocking and attempts at the door had already made it clear that something or someone was trying to get in, and he didn't want to take any chances. But the second reason is where things become more concerning. He didn't want his wife to feel pressured to open the door. Because in situations like this, especially when the disturbances are persistent and timed, there's always that moment of doubt, that moment where curiosity or fear pushes someone to respond. And he understood that if she ever gave in and opened that door, whatever was behind it might not just be something that leaves afterward. In this next video, a man named Jorge shares the ongoing situation he's been dealing with. One that didn't start all at once, but slowly built up over time. Beginning with small, almost dismissible details, objects slightly out of place, shadows that didn't quite make sense, and that constant, uneasy feeling of not being alone, even when the house was empty. But what started off subtle didn't stay that way. The activity grew more intense, more frequent, to the point where he made the decision not to let his young daughter stay in the house with him anymore, because whatever was happening no longer felt harmless or ignorable. Things became even more disturbing when the experiences followed him into his sleep. But it wasn't just the dreams, it was what the camera captured while he was asleep that people can't get past. Watch.
Get away. Get away. Get away from me. Help. He wants to attack me. I need help, someone. Help! Help! I'm trapped. I'm trapped. Got me out. Got me out. Her hostage. Oh. This is my family. Don't take my family. Take me instead. Let them go.
First, the cross shifts and turns upside down. Then, on the curtain, a figure becomes visible, faint but distinct enough to notice, with what appears to be white eyes reflecting through the fabric. And if you look even closer, there's another detail that many viewers pointed out. On the left side of the mirror, what looks like a face, pale, but present enough to stand out once you see it. Alongside all of this, there are sounds. Something that resembles laughter, low, distorted, and difficult to fully make out. Some believe it carries a pattern, almost like words trying to form, while others describe it as something far more unsettling, something that doesn't sound human at all, a demon. At the same time, Jorge describes the dreams he's been having, not random, not scattered, but consistent, where he finds himself unable to move, surrounded by figures that hold him down, repeatedly telling him that they're not gonna let him go. Sleep, for him, stopped being rest. It became something to fear, but even being awake didn't bring relief. Watch.
Sí, underground, estamos aquí, bien potreados. Ya tu gata póngale candado, que tú sabes que esto es demasiado, no es culpa mía. Si la gata tuya quiere perrear, no es culpa mía. Así que muévelo duro, muévelo duro, muévelo. Oh no! Boom, 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 boom. Oh, something. It felt cold for a second.
While doing simple chores, headphones on, trying to distract himself with music, something happens that pulls him right back into it. The garbage falls, not slowly, not naturally, but in a way that suggests force, like it was pushed rather than dropped. And then came what he describes as one of the most terrifying nights he's experienced, Christmas night. A time most associate with calm, family, and celebration, but for Jorge, it became something else entirely. Right before going to bed, this happened. Watch.
Yo, I swear to God, there was like some... Ah! Shit! Fuck, what the f is that? What the f is that? You gotta be kidding me! Who goes there? Who goes there? That shit cannot be real. What the f? You gotta be kidding me. What the f was that? You gotta be f***ing kidding me. You gotta be messing with me. I swear to God, this gotta be a f***ing joke. Whoever's in here, I command you to leave in the name of Jesus Christ. I ask you to leave now. Oh, f***. Oh, f***. I got adrenaline going right through my body. What the f*** is that? Ah, shit! Ah! Shit! What the f***? Who goes there? You gotta be f***ing kidding me. Wasn't this shit close? Oh, f***. Oh, shit. What the f*** is that? Guys, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, shit! What's the thing? Oh, I'm getting a headache badly. I'm getting a headache badly. Oh, ah, shit! Ah, oh, shit! Oh, shit! You gotta be kidding me! Oh, shit! No!
It was after sharing that footage that he revealed something even more concerning. This wasn't the first house where he experienced things like this. In his previous home, there had been similar incidents, unexplained, persistent, and now it feels like whatever he was dealing with didn't stay behind, it followed him. And that possibility changes everything, because it suggests this might not be tied to a location, but to him. But what it is, why it's there, and what it wants are questions he still hasn't been able to answer. This next video follows Rosanna Darkcha, a TikToker whose recordings from her apartment in France have unsettled a huge number of viewers, not because of one isolated incident, but because of how consistent and widespread the activity appears to be throughout her home. From shadows said to move through her corridors around 3 a.m. to strange chanting-like sounds coming from enclosed spaces like the bathroom, Rosanna has been documenting what many believe resembles ongoing poltergeist activity, something that doesn't stay in one place and doesn't seem to follow a predictable pattern. One night, when her kids were away at her mother's house, something happened that pushed things even further. Watch.
Ça marche pas. Ça marche.
She begins to hear the voice of her daughter calling out to her. Naturally, she follows the sound, expecting to find nothing, knowing her children aren't home, but what she walks into is far from normal. A radio is playing on its own, despite not being plugged in, with no cassette inside, no visible source of power. At the same time, drawers begin opening by themselves, one after another, like something is moving through the room, interacting with objects deliberately. And the activity doesn't stay contained. If it's not happening in the children's toy room, it shifts to the bathroom. If not the bathroom, then the study. It's as if whatever is behind it isn't confined to one space, but moves freely throughout the apartment. Watch. Books fall from the shelf without warning. The passage light flickers on and off. And then, in the middle of it all, she describes feeling something wrap around her throat, like hands tightening, even though there is no one there. Moments like that are difficult to rationalize because they move beyond objects and sounds into something physical, something that suggests direct interaction. Some viewers believe this aligns with classic poltergeist behavior, chaotic, mobile, and increasingly aggressive over time. Others argue that the scale and intensity of the events raise questions about authenticity, suggesting it could be an elaborate digital production designed to appear real. But what keeps people watching is the consistency, the way the activity spans different rooms, different moments, and different types of disturbances, all captured and shared over time. So what do you think? Are we looking at one of the most convincing paranormal cases in recent years, or something carefully constructed to feel exactly like one? You decide. Now in this next video, there have been rumors circulating around a quiet community for some time, stories people share cautiously, often lowering their voices, about something that moves through the streets at night, something that doesn't stay in one place, but passes by houses, slowly, deliberately, and in some cases is said to stop just long enough to peer through windows before disappearing again. Most people brushed it off at first until more than one person started describing the same thing. One night, a man returning from his night shift experienced something he couldn't explain, something that turned those rumors into something much harder to ignore. He was already close to his house, going about something as ordinary as packing his clothes on the hanger outside so he wouldn't have to rush the next morning, when he noticed a figure. What makes this moment unsettling isn't just the sighting itself, but the way it fits into what others in the area have been quietly saying. Because after he showed the footage to his neighbors, several of them claimed they had seen something similar before. Something appearing briefly outside windows, something watching, but never staying long enough to be fully confronted. And that's where the speculation begins. Some believe it could be tied to something older, something connected to the history of the area, suggesting that if multiple people are seeing the same figure in different places, it may not be moving in a normal physical way at all. The idea that it peeks through windows is what unsettles people the most, because it suggests curiosity, awareness, and possibly intent. Now, some residents have started looking into the past of the area, trying to find out if anything happened years ago, if someone once lived there, or passed under circumstances that were never fully resolved. But until something concrete is uncovered, and until there's a clear explanation for what's being seen, this remains a mystery. In the following video, another family shares an experience that didn't happen just once, but repeated itself over months, slowly turning what could have been dismissed as coincidence into something far more unsettling. They began noticing figures appearing at their door, faint shapes visible through the curtain, standing there as if waiting. At the same time, their doorbell would ring at odd hours, times when no one should reasonably be visiting, and every time they checked, no one was there. It kept happening again and again, until one day, they finally caught something on camera. Have a look.
Mira, ¿está moviendo ahí? Mira, ahí. Aquí hay algo. Mira si hay alguien en la terraza. No hay nadie. Ya se fue.
Through the curtain, a figure is clearly visible, but the moment they react, pulling the curtain open to confront whoever or whatever is standing there, there's nothing. At first, it's easy to think it could be something external, maybe a tree, a passing shadow, something creating an illusion against the fabric. But that explanation becomes harder to hold on to the moment the figure appears to move. This raises a broader concern, one that many people overlook. The idea that whatever moves through streets, through quiet neighborhoods at night, may not always pass by without interaction. And that's why some believe it's important to be careful, to be aware, to protect your space in whatever way you believe is right, because in situations like this, the line between outside and inside becomes more significant than it seems. Because the moment you open your door, you want to be certain you're not opening it to unseen spirits, or something far worse. The following clip was recorded at night inside a house that, according to the man filming, had already been giving both of them reasons to pay attention. The two men had apparently been noticing the double doors at the end of the hallway behaving strangely, opening on their own without explanation. So on this particular night, one of them decided to test it. With a black spatula still in hand from the kitchen, he walks down the hallway, pushes both doors firmly shut, turns back toward the camera, and gestures as if to say, "See, they're closed." The camera person confirms it. There's no wind in there. They settle in to wait. Watch.
Wait, if that's fully shot. Now, right, now let's just sit and wait. He's just fucking lurking. Oh, f*** off! Right off! Yo! What? Nah. What the fuck?
About 20 seconds after the doors are latched, the right one swings open smoothly and deliberately, with nothing and no one near it. The reaction is immediate. The camera person shouts in complete shock, and their little dachshund wanders over to investigate what they can't. If you watch the door's movement carefully, there's no hesitation, no rattling first. It just opens. Skeptics would point to an unlatched mechanism or air pressure from the kitchen, but the man had just confirmed it clicked shut. So what opened it? In this next clip, someone is lying in bed alone at night, phone in hand, when something in the room stops them cold. Not something they see directly, but something caught in the reflection of a mirrored wardrobe door across the room. The dim lighting, the shaky camera, the panicked breathing, all of it suggests they've already convinced themselves something is wrong before the recording even starts. Watch. The reflection shows the dark space underneath the bed, cluttered and hard to read clearly, but somewhere in those shapes, they're certain they can make out a figure. That panicked breathing doesn't stop. Skeptics point to pareidolia, the brain's tendency to find human shapes in random patterns, especially in low light. But if you've ever lain in bed in the dark wondering what's underneath you, you'll understand exactly why that breathing sounds the way it does.